Welcome everyone to the South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is Monday, March 11th, 2024. Please rise, put your hand to your heart, and join us on our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Porter is absent. Bell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh. Here. Kulicki.
Here. Okay, we have minutes of the regular council meeting on Monday, February the 26th. Any changes or corrections needed? I have a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Moved by Canton, seconded by Kavanaugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have minutes of the special council meeting held on Saturday morning, March the 2nd, 9 o'clock. Any changes or corrections needed? I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Bell, seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I was 5 minutes late and it was no longer.
And Mr. Berger would like to abstain also. So we do have Bell, Kulicki, Canton approving. Okay, so those minutes are approved.
Thank you.
We're good. All right, next, visitors. Street Commissioner, I'll turn the floor over to you to introduce tonight's visitors and explain what they're here for.
Sure, these gentlemen from Blue Street Management give us a proposal on the salt structure that we're in need of replacing.
Okay, the floor is yours. You could come up here and we will need some, Danielle, I'll pass around the cards. You need name and address and stuff like that. Okay, so please come up and be seated and just, the floor is yours. Take as much time as you need.
Well, thank you everybody for having us tonight. My name is Matt Davis. I am the co-owner of Blue Street Project Management. A couple of months ago, we spoke with Tim regarding your salt dome project that you have on the table. Since then, we've met with one of your council committees, along with Tim, to have further discussions. And we've learned that you're looking to do something similar to Orange Village, Winter Hole. And since that point, I've brought Alex from Johnson Locks Construction, Ohio, who will be the GC on this project. But real quickly, my company is a construction management firm. We work primarily with public entities, cities, villages, school districts, boards of developmental disability, and a little bit of private work as well. Primarily, we work with companies that hold cooperative purchasing contracts, which I think most people are probably aware of and how they work. I'm not quite sure where everybody is in their thought process on this, so I'm here to answer any questions you might have. I'll turn it over to Alex real quick for a quick introduction, and we'll just have an open discussion and go from there.
So my name is Alex Meros, Johnson Locks Construction, Ohio. We are a general contractor, and what we have a proposal for first is design services in conjunction with construction for a new 40 by 80 salt barn that also carries an option to demo the existing barn once you have full redundancy and the new one is complete.
I would say where we stand right now is after tonight, this continues to be a top item on our streets committee. They meet, we'll be meeting sometime this month, and we're kicking around a lot of different ideas. You know, we've seen the canvas, we've seen a lot of different thoughts. We've had a lot of good help from our engineering firm. So that's where we are. All right, we will open it basically to questions.
You folks did indicate that you dealt with other municipalities, is that correct? The proposed contract probably has not been reviewed by our solicitor, has it?
She, Bridie started to look at it today. She just asked that it, nothing be agreed to tonight because she's got some changes.
Because one thing,
Dennis, there's an indemnification provision, which we can't.
and that was my point. And, given the fact that if you have dealt with municipalities, the issue with the indemnification, it's clearly spelled out in your contract, and that would be something that would have to be removed from the contract. So, and it would appear like total package-wise, total costs, given even the discounted percentages that you talked to, we may be approaching about $850,000, I think between $830 to $850 for the entire project costs, more or less. Is that what you guys have in mind?
I don't think that's accurate with all due respect.
Okay, no problem. It's just when I'm adding up the fees, because we've got, base bid then plus your 1.5 or whatever it is percentage. We've got almost $700K for demolition cost, $27.5 for the structure. And, then on top of that is also your kicker. So rough order of magnitude math, I'm just adding up in my head about 825 or so at least.
What's the kicker, Dennis?
You notice the percentages here? They charge 8.5 fee based on contract dollars, but in good faith, they're reducing it. So in addition to the costs that they articulated, there's additional fees based on the amount of money spent on the contract.
So we would just charge you one flat fee. So if the construction, just for example, is $700,000, we would charge 3.5% of $700,000. I'm a small business. I am trying to work with municipalities and whatnot on a regular basis. My goal is for you to learn, learn who I am, see how I work. I want you to be able to trust me. And then as the years go on, we continue to work together. If 3.5 is too high, I'm certainly open to lowering that for our first project, just so you can see that we're worth our value.
Your fee structure was just a little bit unusual because most of the time, those costs that you're calling out as fee-based on the dollar are usually included in the cost estimates. So just trying to deal with that has been a little bit unique, but
A little bit.
You're our first one to come here. We got this afternoon, and you've dealt with government, so we work slowly. But thank you. I love the one at Orange, except for the price. I like the added area. We have 4 vehicles that sit outside year-round. I don't like that. We have some stuff piled up back here. We do the best we can. Why is that structure better than the concrete 10-foot walls and then canvas?
So I'll ask Alex to chime in on that, but I will preface it by saying when we had our initial meeting with your streets committee, the idea was to have similar structure to Orange. That's what was presented to us, so that's kind of where we started the process. But,
Yeah, we made some modifications per client request. And the structure and the way we're gonna design it, I'd say at this point is the price is the price. We were very competitive with it. Did you have any particular questions about the comparison to the one in Orange Village?
No.
I wasn't too familiar with it other than some referential drawings.
The one in my opinion, the one at Orange is a Cadillac version. It's
Okay.
nice. I will check in. Solon has one of each. They got the canvas, we got this one. I haven't checked with them yet as to why they have this and that.
Sure, I mean, the longevity of a structure that has the concrete stem walls and the timber framing is, in our opinion, just gonna be better than something that's just canvas. The longevity of it alone is going to be, in my opinion, outweigh whatever the lesser materials are that are over top.
so you guys did not design the orange structure.
No, we do not.
Okay. You happen to know who did?
We're familiar with the firm that did.
Mhm.
They're a big architecture firm. We did not engage them. They have a reputation, in my opinion, that we just didn't want to go that route with them. So we have our own architects and designers and engineers that we work with a lot, that we have a lot of trust in, that we would have designed this work based on this proposal.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there might be any economy of scale to take an existing design and modify rather than start from scratch.
Frankly, with that firm, I have doubts that we get such a benefit, to be honest.
Do you see a trend for smaller salt bins? When we look at the amount of salt, the winters, things ain't what they used to be.
I can't comment on that. I think that would be an engineer's place to look at what the usage would be as compared to the capacity. That's not something I've ever had to calculate. That's usually coming down to either clients or engineers or third parties saying you have this amount of road and these type of weather conditions, the equation solves for X amount of salt, but I personally don't know what that math looks like.
Yeah, we have, frankly, we have a very good handle on what we think we need. We have done our homework so far, but again, you're the first people to really put it on paper, put it black and white. Other questions?
Tim, you need to chime in here, anything?
No, just that we need to really move forward on this, because unknowing the life expectancy of the dome, if there's other avenues to pursue.
The declining
We should do
life
that.
expectancy of the
whatever-
dome.
So, Bill, Streets Committee will review this, which we received today at our next meeting. I haven't even had a chance myself to look at it since I got late this afternoon. But after we review it and discuss it, we'll go from there.
That's my thought, yeah. We got a good streets committee.
Can we clarify, again, first impression? Okay, this has the lean-tos, the wings, as we talked about it. So that is, okay, the full. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I do a little.
Yes, please, Eric, this is our engineer, Eric.
Could you guys elaborate a little bit? I mean, honestly, CT could be an option to do this, but you'd have to go the traditional design, bid, build, so pay CT to design it and get it bid out, and then get contractors to bid on it and build it. I think it's worthwhile to consider a design build combo, because, frankly, it kind of cuts me out of the picture, but I have to look at the village's interest more than I look at CT's interest. I think there's some economy to be realized with a design build combo that, frankly, CT can't provide. We're not teamed with a contractor. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that and why and how it might? I know Bridie's not here, but how it might be legal to do the design build without having to go out to bid. There might be members on council who are curious about that.
Absolutely. As far as the design aspect, we certainly could use CT for the design of the structure under Johnson Locke's cooperative purchasing contract.
Well, I don't know if there's any. If you guys have a relationship as a design build team, and it saves the village money and it's a better, cleaner process, I don't see the need to muddy the waters to say, oh, I want to be in on this. I think it would be worth explaining to the council tonight as to what the advantage is that you guys provide versus the traditional pay someone to design it, go out to bid, and then pay the contractor to build it.
A lot of it is the amount of time it takes. The process that we have, we can move pretty quick. When you just put it out to bid, that takes time.
Absolutely.
Enough time to do a site visit and then put together their proposals. Then you have to go through your process internally, whatever that may be. For our process, once we get a purchase order for the design aspect of it, we can get going in a couple days, have it completed within 6 to 8 weeks. And as soon as that's completed, we can start the demo and begin construction right after that. In a perfect world, and I fully understand and respect that there is a process, I get that. But for example, if a purchase order were issued today we could have the design done within 6 to 8 weeks, and we could have the structure up and built and done by September 1st,
Yeah.
Long before snow.
long before the snow. But then again, September in Cleveland, you never know.
Matt, could you touch on the possibility of funding?
Sure. So one thing that is available, there is a capital grant that is currently accepting applications. It's in the Senate right now, and I provided Tim with a form that he and I have worked on a little bit, in which municipalities can apply for capital funding from the state. I believe there's millions of dollars that's available. Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly what that is. And you mentioned that I don't think you've applied for any of that money in the past, but this is a perfect project for state funding. The application is due April 8th. And that's another time crunch that you're kind of in if you want to apply for it, because we need to have solid numbers to present to the state and how much you're going to spend on the project. Will you get funding from the state if you apply? Who knows? Based on my experience with it, if anybody on your council or you, Mr. Mayor, have relationships with your state senator and or state representative, call them, ask for help. They can certainly help with that.
A question would be whether or not the village would qualify for the grant.
Absolutely. The state capital funds get distributed to villages, cities, townships, school districts, the art museum, for example, the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo. But there's a list online which I could provide to you via email at some point of past recipients of the state funding, and you'll see villages across the state of Ohio that have received it.
I'd love that email. That'd be great.
Sure. Tim, possibly you could send me email addresses tomorrow, and what I'll do is I'll download an attachment of previous recipients and just forward it to everybody.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
We won't make that April 8th deadline. I don't see that happening.
My suggestion, if I may,
Mhm.
is we have an estimated cost. We could use that dollar amount on the application and indicate it's an estimated cost. That's all.
Off the top of your head, do you know if it's matching, fully funded? What is the grant per se?
There's no requirement on how much money you would spend. It's honestly up to the Senate Finance Committee on how much they divvy up.
Give you.
Based on experience with clients I've done this with in the past, it certainly helps to show that you're contributing.
And the Senate Finance Committee is Mr. Dolan.
He's the chair, yes, yes.
Todd, this is big for us. Are we missing anything that we should have asked?
No, I mean, obviously, as you hit on a moment ago, Mayor, the timing is tight, but, I don't even know that you need to take action tonight, but what you could do is you could start preparing the application for the grant, so that if you decide by the next meeting you want to move forward, or a special meeting, you're ready to do that, and then you pull the trigger on it.
Our next meeting, you'll have a street committee meeting between now and March 25th, maybe.
We don't have another one scheduled, but
No.
we'll schedule a special one.
Okay, I don't want to rush
This month.
this. Don't want to rush it. And at the 25th meeting, Councilman Canton will not be here, I will not be here. I think we just need the street committee to take a look and try to time out what you want to do. April 8th would be nice, but I don't see that happening. Todd does have a good idea, though, that,
Would it be appropriate for council just to make a motion to allow these gentlemen to apply for a grant on our behalf?
We can't do that.
No, we
It
probably
has to
have to
come-
have a
okay.
commitment. Yeah.
so we'll have to look into this.
We have drafted your application along with Tim, and perhaps you could send it over. It's not a very intense form. It's pretty simple,
The grant itself.
the grant application. you send it over to whoever you need to send it to, and just look at it, and it's not hard.
We just had some frustration with the grant, so.
Okay.
Can I just ask if they apply for the grant and then they decide this isn't the project they want and they turn it down, how does that affect us moving forward when they apply for these kind of grants?
I don't know. I mean, from my knowledge, you haven't applied for this grant before. If you apply for it again in the future, I couldn't imagine it would affect you, but I don't know.
But like, once you apply.
No, I mean, I've seen it done at the state level where municipalities have applied for grants. And by the time they're awarded the grant, they decided they don't want to do the project or they're going to do something else, so they don't take the grant. And again, there's multiple municipalities that have applied, so there's next person in line is going to get it. And that's not in any way a strike against you that you're not going to be awarded grants in the future.
So theoretically, on April the 8th, we could do legislation to apply for, what'd you say, 800,000, but that would be the total, Dennis? Probably about
In that
800,000.
neighborhood.
Get the grant and say, no, we're only going to spend 300,000. Okay.
You know, the solicitor just brought up an interesting aspect, though, that, you know, with the delay. Now, it seems like there's some, emphasis to get her done before the winter of next year. And I don't know, do we know that if we happen to apply for this, what the turnaround time would be, or would we be faced with losing that window of opportunity or something like that, you know? So that's an unknown.
You have 2 years to spend money.
True, but if we need it now,
When is the money available?
when is the money
Can we get
available?
funded this year and get it done before the snow?
Right, that's my real question here, because we do have a failing salt dome, and the whole emphasis was, you know, to look at what we could do to get it replaced before the winter months here, without affecting our storage capability and those type of things. So, you know, it didn't come to my mind until the solicitor said, sometimes, you know, by the time they issue the grant, you know, the project has gone to the back burner or is completed. And I was hoping that if we did do this, perhaps we wouldn't have to wait 2 years or something like that. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? No. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll be in touch. Obviously, we understand the deadline and appreciate your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we can.
You guys live in Cleveland?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thanks for coming out. Do you want to, there's bottled water there if you need one.
I noticed you guys have a PO box in Independence. Is that where you're physically located?
That's a very old address that I don't know how that is.
That's not her. He's in Ohio City.
Okay. And how about yourself?
I'm at 7 Hills.
Okay. Is it a commercial office there or what? In
No.
Seven Hills? Or is that your residence that you work
My residence, we have an office in Columbus.
at? Okay,
We have 2.
got it.
So our HQ is in Columbus.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for your
Good
time.
night.
Thank you.
All right, next we are at the mayor's report. I put the mayor's report in front of you. This time I tried to put it according to committees, so maybe we can get a little more emphasis. I did pass out, emailed to you, the youth pavilion on July 13th. That's probably going to be the last of the old procedures. Building committee this week is going to work on the final revisions of the park rental form. And one of the things came in, of course, the 11th hour. Do we ever want to rent the entire park? And I don't have the answer, but I don't know if it's something you want to talk about Thursday morning with the building committee. You know, just say, like when the middle school comes, do we ever want to say the whole park is closed? Because I'm thinking of, say, a bunch of middle school kids running on the South Russell Park, get attacked by a dog or they knock down somebody. I mean, maybe it'd just be easier to say,
I don't know if we can we close it, or can we just say the school will be there and it's gonna be busy, like,
You could say the park was closed for
Discourage.
visitors.
you
I
can't.
think we could. It's just something to talk about Thursday morning, but I wanted to put that out there. It came to me late. The court case, Bell Road, has been delayed. There's been a new person that's taking over the residence, so that's been put off. At Thursday night's planning commission, there'll be some changes proposed by the solicitor. She has been very patient with us, and we're finally getting to make some look at the changes in what we do, which will come back to council. Last Thursday, Geauga County Health Director, they had a meeting to explain new septic regulations. Basically, starting April 1st, certain type of septic systems are required 2 inspections a year at a cost of $155. And this, you can imagine the meeting. It was actually very civil compared to what I thought it was going to be, with people saying, I just put in a new system and now I have to have that inspected. My neighbor hasn't had his system. He's had his system for 30 years and I'm sure it's a failing system and you're making me get $155 every year. So it's an interesting thing that's just hitting, and we'll probably hear about it a little bit. Basically, I did check with Ruth. We have 291 septic systems, 1,400 homes. We're about 20%. So just to remind you, Sunridge going to Newberry on the south side of the Bell, and Pawpaw going on the north side of the Bell, that's where our septic systems are, and we require them to be cleaned every 3 years. But this is different. Cleaning is different than being inspected. So this is coming very quickly, and I'm not an expert, so.
What were the types they wanted? Did they delineate which systems there?
I can barely say that it was a NPV. The way we found out about it is one of our residents got a notice, and it was, notice just went out to people that have a certain, if you have the NPDES spray system. So that has just hit.
It sounds modern.
Yes, that was a comment from a lot of people. I have a modern system and I have to be inspected. Councilman Canton, you wanted to ask or say something?
Yes, well, 3-4 years ago, when Councilman Berger and I were given this responsibility to become septic experts, I guess. At that time, the county really was out of the septic business, weren't they?
They were doing this.
They were
They weren't doing point of sale.
So this is all new then, right?
This is new,
This is new.
because what they asked the septic cleanout guys, they've asked them for the, what do I want to say, the condition of your septic system, septic tank. These guys, are they going to say it's bad? And are you going to have him back if you say it's bad? It's a very poor way of doing business, you know. So I think this is an attempt, and I don't know that it's a good one or fair. It's an attempt to maybe get rid of some of the old systems.
It's Geauga County trying to comply with the Ohio EPA. And they have good intentions, and they called this meeting, and we're going to hear a lot more about it. But I
We
just want
sure
to let
are.
you know that
Okay,
this
so-
is coming down the road.
So as the mayor suggests, there's a difference between inspection and cleanout, so this doesn't affect our 2-year, or our 3-year.
No.
We're still going to do that. We're wise to do that.
Our 3-year.
Can I ask that the building committee review the new standards with Dave and Ruth and come back and report more in depth on what this new rule is and how it might impact our residents?
That's a great idea.
You know, as the mayor alluded to, you know, a lot of this is being driven by state mandates. And, point of comparison, Lake County has 15,000 septic systems in their county. Geauga County has 35,000 plus. The issue that Geauga County is facing is, an excellent example is Little Punderson. Little Punderson is a lake community. It was built for summer cottages. I spent time out there as a kid myself, but the lake has been, from time to time, dead because the septic systems, although many of the cottages were converted to full-time, year-round residences, they're minimally quarter-acre lots, and the septic systems that are in place were often designed in 1930 to accommodate a summer house. As a result, some areas, some communities, the systems are overwhelmed and it's all discharging into lakes, streams, those type of things. The county also found out that, say for instance, some people have been approached with the inspections and the guys, some residents have had their current systems for decades, never pumped them, never had them inspected. And as a result, there's a lot of failing systems. So the emphasis is to try and make the curtain systems compliant, but I'm sure for a lot of people that put in some modern systems, the extra bucks are causing a little irritation here. So.
Appreciate the explanation.
Yeah, we have the second largest number of septic systems in the state. Dennis mentioned about 35,000. 31% are failing. 38% are failing in Northeast Ohio. 8% of the residents in Northeast Ohio are getting their systems inspected.
So I wonder how they come up with those statistics if they haven't inspected them. We don't know that 38% are failing.
This is just what I got from the
I hear you.
presentation. So, yeah, I don't know what we can get done Thursday morning at the building, but I think you got a good idea. Could be a situation here. Other things, finance. Villages in the city of Chardon have been asked to select a representative to the One Ohio Settlement Committee. I suggested to everybody, to these villages in the city of Chardon, that we nominate Sheriff Hillebrand to do this again. I will let you know when I hear back from the villages and from Chardon if they would like to keep Scott in this position. Does anybody have anybody else they would like to nominate for Scott?
I just want to
Need a
clarify.
motion on that, Mayor?
Well, let's wait and see if the other people want to do this.
Just clarification, the One Ohio Settlement is the
Opioid.
opioid settlement,
Is it
is that
Todd?
correct?
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And Danielle, didn't we say that's what, $96? Wasn't that one of those?
Yeah. We got to check
yeah.
on that.
It was like $1,000.
$96.
Oh, I thought it was
It wasn't
$1,000.
worth
In the past 2 years, we've got like less than 2,000.
So, when I hear back from the other municipalities, and if they want to stick Scott with this, then we'll do a motion. If they have somebody else in mind, I will also let you know. The school board member, Ms. Sabo, who's been attending some of our meetings, her job is as a grant writer. So I'm probably in April, we're probably going to have a little breakfast meeting with her to talk about grant writers and say, just what do they do? Give us insight, because she has already offered to say, I would help you if you're getting into the grant writing process. And I said, well, we don't know, so we need to get more information. Under HR, I just stuck NOCCA. Did anybody happen to attend the Northeast Ohio City Councils Association meeting?
No, was there one recently?
It was some, I think it was the end of February, they had.
So I
their
wouldn't have
initial-
been here, but I'm less than impressed with them, I gotta tell you, Mayor. We
Yeah.
joined them for this year.
We joined them for this year. I went to their meeting last year. I intend to go to another one this year.
Let's go one more time and see what we
Yeah,
think.
we could try it this year. Haven't heard anything from OPERS or the police and firemen retirement pension. There's been no news. One nice thing under HR, the Charter Growth Partners held a meeting on the League of Women Voters. Dennis and I were there, and it was interesting to hear people, they talk openly about the difference in the county, which we all knew, but I was surprised that it was actually just mentioned that there's you people on the west side of the county and us.
We're the elites.
Yeah, we're the people on the west side of the
I've known
county.
it all along.
According to the people in the east.
Thanks, Dennis.
Tomorrow, there's a webinar put on by a law firm on municipalities, trends and innovations. It's one of those free things. March the 13th, there's a webinar by the Ohio Ethics Commission. They have these updates, and that's free. And I don't know why on April the 10th, they're putting on a webinar with the Ohio Ethics Commission for the Ohio Municipal League, and then it costs you $125. It's both of them are 1 hour long. So I don't know if there's some difference.
Maybe you get some CEUs or something, who knows?
The one on Wednesday, you get your 1 hour credit. But anyhow, I wanted to let you know those are coming up.
And those are like on the OML website?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Under property, Ruth's going to have an item to hire an architect to build the restroom. We have budgeted $80,000, so we're going to ask the architect this is what we want to do, and give us options. We've looked at a lot of different things on this park restroom. One of the grant writers we've been thinking about has told us there's grants for $150,000 if we want to go through the NatureWorks grant again. So there's all sorts of things to consider, but we'll get the architect going and then take a look at 80. We could do a lot with this restroom because it's right near the sewer line. On the other hand, as everybody in the village lives no more than 2 miles away, so if it's a situation you don't like our bathroom, you can go home, I guess, but it's still something to think about. Todd, we don't have to jump on this. We were going to ask Bridie to take a look at, should we incorporate the lot that we bought this corner property?
Yeah.
Should we put that together and have just one area? And maybe she could make a recommendation. And should we also attach the central retention basin, which is behind it, combine those into one lot? And then when we were meeting this afternoon, I guess this morning at the Finance Committee meeting, the idea that maybe it's time we look at a master plan for the village. So Eric, let's just think about this. Is it time to say, 10 years down the road, we're going to replace the service garage, or we're going to replace the police station. We should start thinking about this before we set a salt dome and say, well, we put it in the wrong spot because, this takes time to come up with.
As far as the salt dome is concerned, I think we're pretty safe with where we're looking at, because I already kind of did a preliminary with like Rich Washington in our planning division and Andy Tarowski in our architectural division, kind of like, are we gonna be hamstrung in the future by putting a salt building here? And the consensus was no. And they're the ones who said you ought to shift it a little bit farther to the east to allow for, expansion and growth around that as we start to use those like covered storage areas. My initial plan, I had it like almost right next to our salt dome that we've got now. And the current site plan has it shifted about 80 feet away from the current salt dome. So we put some thought into that, but absolutely yes, that's a good idea to have an overall master plan for all sorts of things, like to deal with increasing traffic, because as the years go on, and even if South Russell doesn't see a lot of development, Bainbridge very well might. So we need to be prepared for that because we're on a through corridor. Same with Sugar Falls. Like what they do affects us. So we should be prepared for things on transportation and traffic front, on just a village campus development and planning front, on a utilities planning front. I mean, we talked about a water line potentially coming through and how that would affect things and what might be the best route for that. All of that really could be put on a master plan. And a master plan is just it's a snapshot of a roadmap as we see it right now. It's a living document. It can be changed in the future. If something's on the master plan and we decided to do something else, or that doesn't make sense anymore, well, then you change it to reflect the current situation. But yes, you are better off to have a master plan, and the more inclusive that is, the better.
I think the finance committee discussed this morning, so I'm sure they're gonna have maybe additional comments, but it's something to start thinking about.
While you're there, Mayor, I hate to take you off track. We talked about how much property do we have, and there's a lot of fours. There's 4 acres behind, 4 acres of the police department. But then you can go behind there to the part that was not used for the central retention basin. The 2021 map on RealLink, it's not called RealLink anymore, from the county.
Website.
That does not show the basin. It still shows it as wooded. So I don't know how many acres that took up, the actual pond.
It's on this, if you're looking at parcel numbers and acreage, it's on the same parcel, so it's not
No, it's not a separate
retention pond
parcel,
is
it's part of,
yeah.
yeah. So we're right here, we're like 4, 4, and 4. We asked about, this was at the HR meeting today, asked about the cemetery, and the cemetery has a quarter of its usage. All that's wooded back there, which you know, but a good bit of that, it's got that stream running through it too, as my mother called it, the swamp. So that's about 4 acres, and then the Wilbur property that had the rent house on it, that's another 4 acres in 2 parcels. So we got a lot of 4s. Land we got.
You know, it's something to think about. I think we'll just leave this probably with the property committee, but that we can start discussing it.
Yeah, I think it'd be wise to start moving in that direction and have a master plan that, like I said, is inclusive as far as land usage and just utilities and roadway and traffic as it.
You were not tied
possibly
to it. It's a document.
Yes.
Got it. Tim, what did you want to say?
Being that the police department is on a separate piece of property than this is, the line is right around where the salt structure would be.
Right?
Do those need to be put together before construction?
No, I don't think so.
Since we own both.
Since you own them both. Yeah.
Okay, the next thing, controlled burn. I guess, Todd, I'm gonna ask you this one. We wanna burn part of our park. We've been talking about it for a couple of years. Geauga Parks would probably do it. But I guess I wanna cover myself a little bit. If they call me on Thursday and say we wanna burn on Friday, so we should probably pass a motion to support, to allow the mayor to have a burn or something like that, if we want to do that. Because they say 2 or 3 day notice, that's all we're gonna get,
Well, because they can't help it because of the weather, right?
because of the weather.
Yeah, I would, if you're gonna do it, I'd do a motion with, specifying that it's gonna be Geauga Park District that does it.
Okay, so we'll do that when we get property.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
An Eagle Scout will be presenting to his interurban project. He'll present that to the park committee sometime in the next month. We have a mistake on the property, the trail markers of Eagle Scout on a different project. That's gotta be changed. The semi-quincentennial, they're looking for people to apply for grants. It's 2 years away, so we've got plenty of time. Chagrin River Watershed Partners will be coming to us shortly about the wetlands in the park. They have one bid from Davy Tree. It's about $35,000. That basically replaces what we lost behind us here. We'll find out more about that on Wednesday. Our playground inspector has had some health issues. He doesn't have his certification right now, but every few years we should have playground inspected. So when he gets his license back, we'll have him come out and inspect the playground.
It was in the Chagrin Valley Times. There's a newly certified playground inspector there.
Yeah, I saw, that's what made me think we haven't
This
had
old nurse happens to know him, so that's impressive that he got the inspection.
and the guy that had the health issue was in my leadership class, so I'm
Okay.
trying to give him business too. So,
Mayor?
Yes.
I have a question. Tim, you and your men, you check the playground periodically.
Yes.
And what, 3 years old now, 4? And still in pretty good shape.
Yes. Some of those turnbuckles come loose once in a while, but that's all we've had. There's no issues with broken wood or anything like that. No.
There's one popular playground.
Yep. The Warwick Cemetery, we'll hopefully get a railing put on that this year. Land Conservants, I did a little commercial for them. They're looking for people who want to volunteer to plant trees. June 1st, we have 2 grants that are due. The Nature Works have a grant, it's $150,000, and that's when we got to decide if we want to apply for that, which would mean waiting another year for the restroom.
The bathroom, more
And then
porta potties.
Yes. And the Foundation for Jogga Parks, there's one for $5,000. I don't know anything about it besides the fact that it's due June 1st. The next thing, some of us are members of the township, and it's a Ohio 250 grant. This deadline is March 15th. Looking at different, that's the semi-sesquicentennial. And
Semi-quincentennial.
semi-quincentennial. You know, spell check kicks it out as being wrong. And I think I'm done. All right, questions to the mayor? Thank you all. With fiscal officer.
So I distributed my report to mayor and council. I don't know if there are any questions.
The only question I had, Danielle, you had in there that 4 of our employees are on Social Security, so I'm presuming it's the ones contracted to us?
ABR members, because they get paid by meeting, are not allowed to participate in PRS.
Oh.
And then we have one elected official. So that's it. The other thing too, Mayor, for that one Ohio representative, I did talk to the solicitor, Matheny, today. And we did do that last time by council makes a motion of who it is we're going to present to the group. So you said Hildebrand, so we should have a motion of council that they support that.
I was gonna wait and see when I hear from the other villages in Chardon that that's who they want.
You can't tell them that we're supporting Hildebrand without council.
I didn't, I just said I suggested.
But you're speaking on behalf of the mayor for the.
Okay, so we'll do a motion in a minute, okay?
And the other thing, Jerry, to answer your question too, also the village's insurance company, they do at least every other year when they come out and do appraisals of our properties, they do inspect the park playground. And last year we did, they caught some things, like one mulch had to be a certain depth and everything like that.
Is it supposed to be done annually? I don't even know.
We had to put some signs up that they wanted up, the marketing, the handicap area was marked out. What was the other thing?
So they come up every year, you say, Dan?
Our insurance, that we were with the Public Entities Pool of Ohio, so every other year they come out and they appraise our buildings and then they inspect our properties to see, to make sure it meets their insurance specifications.
Then we only need the playground inspected every other year if they're doing it every other year.
And I don't know if there's any requirements, we have to get it done, I think it's.
Well, we want to get it
but-
done. We don't want
Right, so
anything
they're
to
here
get
every other year, so.
What if Jerry goes down there on the swings? Come on, no, just kidding.
Tim, do we ever have to stain any of the wood structures or anything? Are they weathering, is there any requirement, PMs that?
As far as the playground?
Yeah.
No. The pavilion, yes, we do maintain the pavilion and the picnic tables.
But the other stuff we don't have to stain?
They're meant to last as long as they last. And they're not showing any sign of wear.
Good.
They're doing really good.
Anything else on the playground?
I walked up there, didn't you have a newly stained, what did I see that was newly stained? The bench? Picnic tables? Something was gorgeous.
The picnic tables.
Okay.
Danielle, it's probably our usual court, but February we had another record, just no big deal either way.
I mean, I obviously, our income tax collections have increased significantly. I believe they're gonna stay higher than they were. but we should always be cautious as people return to work. But we also gave you a report this time. This was the CCA report from Central Collection Agency with the summary of everything, so you can see where the tax collections, where they're coming from, whether they're withholdings or estimates and the profits, et cetera. So that can give you a better idea of that. And then I'm going to go through CCA's reports and look at what they're estimating. They kind of do an estimate of what they think we'll see this year. So, but we have raised our estimate over the last several years because the collections have gone up.
Okay, questions of the fiscal officer?
And last thing, everybody can start thinking about next year's budget because tax budget is coming up in July. So we will start, department heads will get their paperwork to start thinking about next year.
We want to
Even though I
wish,
just filed last year's statement.
we want to wish the fiscal officer a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right, Finance Committee, you're up.
Finance Committee reporting that our next meeting will be on April 11th,
Pardon me.
which is a Thursday at 10 a.m. And other than that, that concludes the finance report.
Anything else? I kind of jumped in about the master plan. You guys discussed it this morning.
Well, the only thing we did is I presented the Whitetail did a reserve study this year, and I sent that to council just as an example of how they go through and look at all the assets, determine useful life, determine where we're at on that, and what the replacement costs are going to be, or what expenses needed to be done, and suggested that that might prove to be a model for what we could do here at the village campus, at least in terms of looking at all of our equipment, all of our facilities. I know we've done some of that in terms of like the snowplow trucks. Every 5 years, we trade one in and get another one. But to look at it more in a broader perspective in terms of the buildings and what have you. So that was sort of the what spurred us to start thinking about a master plan. So if anybody else wants to see it, I'm happy to provide that document to you so you can see what that homeowners association did.
60 pages worth. Was it 60
It's
pages?
a great study.
It's well done.
I want the
And-
summary of the 60
And
pages.
it gives you, a starting point for where you may have to spend your money in a coming year. So, and an opportunity to prioritize. So it's a great example. Thanks for sharing that with us, Chris.
Questions of the Finance Committee? Anything, Dennis?
No.
All right, so we need a just Sheriff Hildebrand, I just stuck this under finance because we're getting money. So thank you for making a motion that Sheriff Scott Hildebrand will be the South Russell Village recommendation to the other 4 townships and the city of Chardon to be our
The other
one.
4 villages.
There's 4 villages and Chardon.
Sure.
We get a
So moved.
second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I will let Scott know if I'm promoting him. Sure. All right, Todd, solicitor, right? You're up. Anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Eric, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. We are all set to go out to advertise for bids for our annual road program. As of last week, we were looking at an advertised posting date of this Wednesday. I didn't check with Mike Pittenger in our specs department if that was still current, but as of right now, I think we're still, give or take, Wednesday of this week, be advertising. Danielle, I will let you know as soon as I have a firm answer on that. Our road program consists of a base bid of Southwick Drive with an alternate of Countryside and an alternate of a reserve trail. So we are moving ahead, and we're hoping for good asphalt prices this year.
I found the paperwork from NOACA, all that stuff that was printed blue.
Yes, I have that, and I actually met with Bill Baker in our transportation department today over that, and I'll have that completed and submitted by the end of the week.
Thank you. Okay, questions of our engineer? Street Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. I submitted my month-end report for February. Also, the service department crew completed their OSHA 10 training for construction site safety. The Manor Drive westbound lane is currently open with that manhole replacement we had to do was completed. The curb will be open in 7 days after the concrete curb cures a little bit more. And I have the railing quotes, and I will get that to the properties committee. I did get it to the properties committee for the cemetery steps. That's all I have.
Questions of the street commissioner?
Just one comment. I happened to run into two of our street department employees yesterday at lunch and commending them on their good work yesterday to meet the needs of the snowstorm. So thank you for
Thank you.
for their good
I hated
good
it.
efforts.
Great work.
Is the 2020 plow still in the shop too?
It's still down in the can, yes.
So we're down plow too?
Could the two of you give us a 2-minute on how we call out? Because talking to our guys, they're sitting at home on Sunday and everything's fine and they get a call to show up out here. So how's that?
Being in the area we're at, up in the higher elevation of the snow belt, I had nothing at my house. And
Really?
And I am 3 miles away, maybe about 4 miles away. And it was horrible here. So what happens, Chief, the duty officer patrolling will call me and I'll just go through a brief of, how bad is it, anything serious that we need to take care of as soon as we get there, or we start our regular routes, or we work in how many guys you need, and it works real well. It's a really good system.
And we call them out when needed, and sometimes the event actually starts when they're here. So, we try to monitor for them if they're tied up in the building doing something they may not even know it's snowing out. So we'll just call over, during business hours, and they're here during the day, and we normally have the night shift officers call them out at a specific time early in the morning. So if it's a very heavy snowfall, winter storm, blizzard conditions, we'll call them out a little earlier. If not, if it's a basic snowfall, just requires some salt, we'll call them out at 5.
Well, just keep it up. It's working.
I'll get a call 45 minutes before it starts snowing, that, okay, Orange was called and Chagrin roads are getting bad, so get ready.
And it's heading west, or west to east, yeah. And I got stuck at Donner Pass, but I'm here today, so.
All right, street committee.
Okay, the street committee met last Thursday. The minutes are in front of you. They were sent this morning or last night. There are 3 things that came out of there that council could potentially move on or wait on. One is the Salt Dome land clearing, cutting down the trees for the new placement. The street commissioner did receive 3 quotes for that work to be done. The lowest bid was by a company called Bad Axe, A-X-E, just want to clarify, for $4,500. I did put in the minutes that I thought we would need a budget amendment of $1,500, but the fiscal officer has corrected me, and we do not, an amendment right now is not necessary if we were to move forward.
I'm sorry, what's that for, Chris?
Cutting down trees for the
Okay.
salt dome, the land clearing. Anybody have any questions about that?
So there's money budgeted in that line item, since we don't have the salt dome and we know we're already gonna be amending for that, you can amend so that there's enough to cover this expense. An amendment can be done later when we do the salt dome. That's why we don't have to do it now.
So is that something that's with a motion or legislation?
Because it's over 3,000, you could have council make a motion to approve the amount, because we didn't have this dollar amount before. To approve the motion to go.
Do you want to do it now or later?
I'm okay with it. If council wants to move forward, I'll make a motion.
By making a motion, okay, it's been moved. We need a second.
What you should, your motion should.
It's actually been moved. I'd like to make a motion allowing the fiscal officer and mayor to enter into contract with Bad Axe Tree Company for $4,500 for removal of the necessary trees for the new salt dome to be in South Russell Village.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second.
Can I just ask, is that, a contract, or, are we signing off on a contract, or, because contracts we do by legislation,
Sure,
Or
Tim,
is it
you want to give
just,
some more clarification on the paperwork? From Bad Axe.
He just sent me a quote.
He didn't give you a contract or anything? So why don't we hold off on any kind of move until we know what that paperwork
Okay.
looks like?
Do we have to
Okay,
say?
Can we get it in 2 weeks?
seconded, all those in favor
Wait,
say aye.
wait, no.
He's gonna withdraw the motion.
He's withdrawing.
I'm withdrawing the
Yeah, I
motion.
didn't do that.
So, yeah,
Good.
that's great power, withdrawing the motion. So why don't we come back in 2 weeks when we know what the paperwork looks like, and we'll move forward with that. Get the land cleared, so we can move forward with the dome hopefully this year. The second part that came out of the meeting is, we talked late last year about some stormwater sewer improvements down in Fairview. Late last year, we received a quote for $20,000. We did not get the work done regardless. The street commissioner did receive 4 quotes to get that work done. Let's see here. And the lowest bid was for $10,000 from Watts Excavating. We would need a motion to approve. It's already in the stormwater budget. I don't know if that should come, Mark and I were discussing if that should come from streets or storm, public utilities.
It's fine. You can do it in streets.
Do you want to do this once we have a contract?
Let's do that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Then the last one, the service department roof replacement. The street commissioner received 3 quotes. You were a quote machine this last month. The cheapest for the roof replacement was from Hirschberger for $27,120. We also would like to make a suggestion to council that since the solar panels likely will not occur this year, we'd like to use the NOPEC funding available to us to offset some of the cost of the new roof. But again, we'll wait on the paperwork.
Okay, what else?
That's it for now from the
You
streets.
did well. Mr. Berger, do you want to comment about putting a roof with the master plan? We talked about that just briefly.
Oh, well, yeah, this, the question is, if we were to come up with a master plan that said in 3 years' time, we needed to replace the service building with another structure, would it be worthwhile going forward and doing the roofing project this year if in 3 years' time we were going to tear that entire facility down and build something new? And so that was part of the discussion. And I'm not saying that we're going to replace the service department building in 3 years. I'm just using it as an example to say we need to think ahead before we start to do major repair work on any of our facilities if in fact we're not going to continue to use them in the near future. And that's the master plan, to look out and say what needs to be replaced more than just the roof. So that was the discussion.
You know, there was one other point. After we heard from our visitors this, earlier in the meeting, they talked about the demolition work, and somewhere in their notes I read $27,000 or something like that. The street commissioner did receive some quotes for demolition for the Salt Dome, and the lowest bid he received was $5,900 from a company that actually recycle a lot of the materials. They take out all the metal and turn the wood into mulch, and they turn the metals for scrap. I don't know, but so their bid is quite low. So
So it's basically a fifth of,
it's significantly lower than what was on the paperwork we saw this evening. That's something to keep in mind. I don't know how good that quote is for the demolition because we're quite a long ways away from doing that, because we need to put up the new dome first. But it was interesting to me to see the disparity in the numbers. That's all I have. And Mark has nothing to add, so.
Okay,
He's a resident that, the one who bids it low on that. He lives on Ashley. He owns a company in Newberry, and he's willing to work for the village.
No, that's great.
before we leave streets altogether, so the 372 tons of salt, Tim, that's significantly lower than what we'd normally have, wouldn't it be? Oh, that's just for January, I'm sorry.
Just for the month of January.
Oh, so then we're looking at more, closer to 1,000 something or 1,200?
Yes.
Is that average?
Lately, it's been average, right?
any other questions of the street commissioner or the street committee? All right, Chris, building committee.
Building committee meets this Thursday at 8 a.m. in the building department. Anyone is welcome, and we have a lot on our agenda as of this meeting. Councilman Cannon, do you have anything to add? Okay, that's it.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Donuts?
We don't provide donuts.
Derek's not
Or
invited to
streets.
this.
You're welcome to buy them.
Yeah, sure, I can see Ruth.
8:05 maybe.
Just kind of, hopefully you looked at Ruth's report. The veterinarian is moving into the former dentist office. $350,000 to convert that. Okay, Chief, you're up.
Other than my monthly report, I have no further report.
Hey, Chief, I have a question. I noticed that your warnings have gone up quite a bit. Could that be due to cell phone usage maybe?
No, generally not. That's a tough one to find, but we have not really had a lot of cell phone warnings. Most of it's just basic traffic offenses, just an unusual spike.
It scares me when I drive my old lady style and I see this as I pass people. I think it's just scary. I honk at them. Can you picture that? The old girl honking away at the bad people.
Any questions of the police chief? Safety committee, you're up.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Safety Committee will meet this Thursday, March 14th at 9 a.m. at the station. And if history and my memory serves me correct, there will be donuts.
Oh, great.
What committee?
You're welcome to stop by.
What time is that?
Dennis, anything to add?
All right, questions of the safety committee? HR committee.
HR met today at 1 o'clock, and the chair has not typed up her minutes yet. We discussed continuing job descriptions, evaluations, grant writing update, and the mayor added, what did you add to me, Mayor? I don't have it down here.
I frankly dumped on you
Oh,
today.
the organizational chart, that's what it was, which was very brief. Let's see. Not with HR, but with properties. I think that's all we want to discuss on HR, unless Chris Berger, you want to?
No, I'm fine. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right.
Okay, questions of the HR committee? We're at the property committee.
Properties has more than I want to discuss. So, let's go with the easy stuff first. The railing that Tim alluded to at Rear Cemetery, he got 3 quotes. One was for aluminum only, which we don't want aluminum. We want something really sturdy like wrought iron. He had 2 wrought iron, and the lower one was $4,000, Tim? Around thereabouts. Maybe 4 and some change.
4263.
Yeah, 4263.
And that's a company out of Auburn who does all the wrought iron work for Pepper Pike, Gates Mills, all those communities that have all that wrought iron.
And I can make a motion now, or I can do it later. I'd like to go forward with that. What's the name of it, Tim?
It is Village Blacksmith.
Village Blacksmith. Any discussion about that? The railings, which are absolutely necessary. I have to put my hands on the steps above me to go up there. There's steep steps, and I just don't feel safe, so.
Is money in the budget?
It's not my deal.
Property.
Just asking a question.
Danielle?
I don't.
How are the steps themselves?
The steps are okay.
The steps are 100 years old. They're shifting and
They're not horrible.
they're not horrible.
Well, they're not even bad.
Yeah.
It needs a railing.
And the railing is just simple posts and a top rail with some decorative twists and curls on it, but no spindles. That's what we're getting away with.
On both sides of the steps or just one side?
Both.
It's gonna be both. Two sets of railing separately.
Yes, we budgeted 10,000 for miscellaneous, so that's cemetery supplies and.
Okay, then that being said, I make a motion that we place a railing where there is no longer one at Rarick Cemetery with not to exceed $4,500. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Do I need to mention the name of the, what is it, Auburn what?
No, Village Blacksmith.
Village Blacksmith.
To, just so we can be consistent with like bad acts, is it better that we have something in writing?
Well, this you're purchasing something, is it right? I mean, it's not an agreement.
Well, he sought bids.
They're
so-
installing it as well.
So it'd be better that we wait till we have something.
If Tim has,
I have quotes.
if he has a
Yeah.
quote that he's ready to
Yeah.
accept, I think you're fine doing it by motion.
Okay, all right. Any
Moved.
other questions?
Do we have to, vote?
Danielle, I'll send you the bad axe one and I'll send you this one right now.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Thank you.
Jerry did.
Okay. Okay. Properties. Well, hang on, I'm summarizing in my brain.
Okay, let me help you. Ann Dunning?
I know I'm Dunning.
We're gonna hire Ann Dunning.
And we're gonna hire her, I was saving her for last. So these porta potties, I'm to the point where I'm ready to rip what little hair I have left out of my head over this. Obviously, we did not get the grant for the $80,000 beginning price. It's now gone up to $118,000 with the same purveyor, with the price increases from the pandemic, basically. There's been a lot of discussion, there was a lot of discussion at HR today over this. I'm all for it. I actually would like to ask our residents, do they mind? Do they want porta potties or do they want the bathroom? I'm tired of talking about a bathroom for over 2 years now. So what we're looking at with that 118,000 from the, I don't know how to call it, where they bring in like container type, that's the wrong term. Prefab, thank you. Prefab and plunk it down. Tim felt, and we concurred initially, that he could do better with village and local people to get this done. So the mayor and I, we discussed with Ann Dunning, former board member of Architectural Board of Review, no longer a village resident, to draw us up a kind of plan, actually why are words escaping me tonight? Blueprint, a blueprint type picture of what we'd like. She did. We'd like to hire her because until we know exactly what we want, we can't put this out to bid and go forward with the bathroom.
So did I just hear you say she's already done the work?
She has done a preliminary blueprint, yes.
So she's performed work for the village without
Not at
consent of the
all, not
village?
at all. We have not engaged her. We asked her if she'd be interested in drawing a plan.
But you said she just did it.
I said she did it. I said we
So
haven't
she
employed her.
She did the work, though, already.
She started on it.
Yeah.
What are we basing, besides some wild ass guess of the fact that if we do it ourselves, that it's going to be less than the prefab version? I don't know, have we captured all the costs? Your labor for your people, if they're engaged in it, is the total cost of the alternative even, do we have any rough figures? I as a council member, I've seen none.
Well, since you just wanted a wild ass guess, Dennis, or accused me of having that, yes, we have that. That would be.
No, I'm probably more referring to the opinion of Tim that we could do it cheaper, which was stated earlier in the council meeting, rather than any guess on your part.
Why does this become a conflict as opposed to a discussion?
It is not a conflict.
It is, it's rude.
So we're not prepared to answer the questions of the citizenry of how much it will cost vis-a-vis the prehab. It's just like let's go forward with it because I got a guy.
Well, let's go forward after we've mulled it for 2 years. So I don't know if you just want to like grandstand, but for the love of God, we're trying to get something at the park that looks not like a porta potty, smells not like a porta potty, and time has been spent. We have not entered into a contract. We don't owe anybody money on it right now. We have discussed this, and that's why it's coming up now.
May I make a comment?
How much are Ann's services going to cost the village?
She has given an initial cost that if we employ her, it would be around $4,000. But we cannot go out to bid without a drawing. We can't say, somebody come in and see what you can do for us without a drawing.
Councilman Canton wants to speak.
Thank you. That prefab,
The cost of the prefab went up exponentially, and,
so it's up to 118 or more?
well, last I checked, it was 112.
Okay,
That
now,
was way early in the spring.
okay, now, ever since we've discussed the possibility of building this edifice, the cost of it has been quite fluid,
Skyrocketed.
to say the least. Okay. Now, I understand that this prefab would have been like the Cadillac, correct?
A
Yes.
Cadillac of a non-flush restaurant, yes.
Okay.
With tanks.
Okay, now, do we know exactly what we want? Do we want the tank? Do we want it hooked onto the sewer? Do we want running water? Do we want heat? What do we want? Do we know what we want? Or do we have to wait for the architect to come forward with it?
And of course, part of the discussion before I got derailed was we have access to sewer. So would we, when I talked to Dunning, we included that.
Okay, now,
So that is a cost.
okay, I am 100% in support of building this restroom, okay? But it would probably be prudent for us to know exactly what the cost is going to be and to have a number that's not going to,
Exceed.
go up. Now, if that's possible,
How about this then, for your motion? We have $80,000 set aside. Let's hire Ann Dunning to make the drawings, to build a $80,000 restroom. See what she can come up with. And then we also we've thought about options. I want a green metal roof to match the pavilion.
I do
Other
too.
people want sewer line. Planning commission wanted us to put special locks. Theoretically, you could put solar panels on top of it to do something. So let's go with what we got. We got 80 grand. Hire Ann Dunning, say, draw us what we can get for 80 grand. And if she comes back and says, this is what you can get, or we may say, let's spend another 40,000 and get sewers, get the green metal roof, get the lots and the lights and all that other stuff.
One more
So we
point.
got 80,000.
One more point. This was not a scientific poll that I took, but there were at least, I don't know, maybe 15 people I've mentioned, what do you think if we would do this? And they like the idea of having a nice, clean restroom. But that was
Instead of
15 people.
Instead of 2 aqua porta potties leaning to the side.
Okay, do you want to make that motion to hire Ann? for-
One other question. Much like our earlier discussions, we have no contract with Ann Dunham. Do we need that before we make a motion?
We should be standard. If it's Ann Dunning at 80 or Bad Axe for 4,500, we should do the same thing. When we get a contract, we approve it.
So right now, should we have a contract in hand for what she's going to charge before we go forward with any motion?
Yes, we should.
We
So
should.
we shouldn't have a motion.
So it's premature for the motion.
So we bring it to us, so we could do that you could do that, Jared, I won't be here, you could do that in 2 weeks. We could do the Bad Axe and the other 2 things that Chris has to do, and, do them all at once. Okay?
Or we can wait another year and try to get the nature.
All right, let's get the shredding thing done, Ruth.
Okay. Where was shredding? Oh, motion to approve October 18th, 2025 for the 2025 shredding day. So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hold on.
I was just asking why we're doing 2025 so early.
Because the
Oh,
shredding
because-
companies get backed up.
that was the next
Sorry.
one.
Just
That was the next
That's what we
one.
wanted,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
now we're gonna hear ahead of time.
cool, thanks.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Gotta be quick.
At this point, at the end of the properties, questions of the property committee. All right, you guys let me go through the mayor's report without looking to turn the page over. I had more to talk about.
I saw
Oh, you lost your time, sorry.
I have a gavel. The MS4 report is going to be done by April 1st, and Kevin Sacarino is doing a good job on that. I met with the Rolling Ridge HOA president. We talked about sidewalks and paths, and they've calmed down. When they were here, they left here, and some of them went to a meeting in Scrin Falls where they talked about how they picked up $1.1 million for the safe routes for school. And they thought, oh, well, gee, that's all we got to do is apply for the grant. Since then, they've had some good conversations among the citizens to say, I don't want a sidewalk in my front yard. I don't want a path in my front yard. So right now, we left it. We'll contact First Energy, see if they will allow anything as far as the path into the power lines. I would imagine they're going to say no. But unless somebody comes with property they want to give us so that their neighborhood can create a path, I think we're basically down to a couple crosswalks. I don't see a path coming, and I don't see sidewalks coming, and I don't see the interest. I mean, I say that, and next meeting we may have 30 people here, but.
Well, there might be, but I spent a little time with that mayor on that Real Link site that I love it so much. And if you look at the bird's eye view, we had an opportunity that we didn't know we'd need 50 years ago before the extension of Shearbrook, before the building of, what's the one right next to the cemetery? Words I just. Southwick. Before those were built, and you could have gone either behind there with CEI's approval because they were already there, or in the front of it, but then you would have had the cemetery property where it would not have worked. People would have to come out in front. There's very little that you can do. There's very little you can do at this point without getting easements and permission and people that want to maintain sidewalks, or us spending a lot of money.
At 6 o'clock this evening, I was at the Chagrin Historical Center, and they had a presentation on the interurban.
Oh, how was it?
Oh, the presentation was fabulous, but the emotional level of the people was just like, they were really into this, but there was no discussion of property that could be acquired or something.
No,
You know, I think we're just asking for trouble. We try to hold it back.
we're a half century behind.
I think there's things that we can do on what we own in the interurban, where the Boy Scout paths, because as Tim knows, that will cover in every year. We have, every year you clean it out because of vegetation. We could maybe make it wider and let somebody see that, but I don't see, we're not going to go behind the whole Shearbrook and Wembley and put in a path.
It'd be property acquisition if you did.
Oh, it would be something. Couple other things on my public utilities project. Manor Brook Phase 1, the landscape, and we got to get on that because we said we would. But I want to take a minute and talk to the HOA, because we're going to put up 15 beautiful trees in front of Manor Brook. It's going to look terrific, and the rest of the vegetation doesn't look so good. So I want to talk to them, let them know this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it, and see if they have any suggestions, anything they want to do. This would be an ideal time maybe to work together in a unified manner, Mr. Berger. Is that possible working with the Manor Brook HOA?
Take your best shot.
Okay, we will. Also, March 13th, Chagrin River Watershed Partners, since we basically finished all our big projects for now, they're going to meet with us on Wednesday. I think that's a Zoom, and talk about future projects. So we've talked about Manor Phase 2, but the other thing, and these gentlemen that were here earlier alluded to, there's a ton of money floating out there. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is the idea, you have water to Laurel, but then everyone else is on a well. Is it possible to get money to bring the water line out? I was gonna go to here, Tim suggested, if you're going to here, include us, cross, maybe swing it up 306 and then down through Manor. So anyhow, we'll start that discussion Wednesday with Chagrin River Watershed Partners. But I just happened to see there's grants for water lines available. Eric, you
Who
may know
serves those? Those are tied into the Chagrin Falls system?
Yeah,
Yes.
Cleveland Water Supply.
Yes.
Cleveland Water?
Cleveland Supply is Chagrin.
Okay, you're right, they do.
Not 100%. Chagrin does create their own water as well.
Do they?
They have a well.
But that's not what comes this way.
Well, it mixes together. I
Okay.
do believe it mixes together.
Okay, I'm not super familiar with how Chagrin does their infrastructure.
That well field, that giant tank on Washington Street is there where the well field.
Okay.
So if Chagrin River Watershed thinks this is a good idea, Jenny Brown is your,
Yes, I would
Okay.
absolutely tap Jennifer Brown.
okay.
This would be a huge undertaking.
It would be a biggie. I think when you go into Gurney School and see their entire water system, because their water's so terrible, it may be a nice thing for us to do, especially if somebody else would do it. So somebody else would pay for it.
Mhm.
It's just a thought.
Yeah.
March 26th, there's a webinar on bringing solar to your community. So I've signed up for that, and it should be interesting. I think this is going to be a little bit more into the politics of how you go about this. And finally, on April 22nd, Elaine Stanchow, she is for Power for a Clean Energy Ohio. She would have been the grant writer for the $2.2 million grant. So she does, this is her baby. We would have paid her 10, but she would have been the 10 of the 15,000. She would have taken 10 of it to write the grant. She did the Chagrin Falls. She's doing the Moreland Hills. So she really knows.
Solar? She's doing solar?
Yes, she's doing the solar for Moreland Hills and Chagrin Falls. And I invited her to come and talk about, grant writing and the whole issue. She's coming. Safety Committee, Thursday, I've seen a couple things about grants for crosswalks. And I also saw in the paper last Thursday, Chagrin Valley Fire Department, they're talking about adding staff, that they need more staff. And they basically said right in the article, costs are going to go up. So that's coming. Streets, I'll finish with a good note. The Lake Louise HOA met. Chief, when I left, they were happy. Hope you left. When you left, they were happy. One of the things we discussed was Reclamite, and they liked it. So at the next street committee meeting, I've asked the street commissioner to come through with a report of these are the streets we put Reclamite on. This is how much it costs. Stuff like that. How we do it. We had a couple of fumbles at the beginning, putting Reclamite down in the fall, but I think we've learned how to do this. Now I'm done with my report.
Really fast, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Just a couple things. Do we have an update on when the warranty work will be done in the Manor Brook Phase 1 for the trees, the vegetation?
No, I don't.
Yes, I do.
You do?
I got an
Totally
email
interrupting a properties report too, I'm sorry.
today from Brandon Flesher from Mr. Excavator. They were our prime contractor. And he said, I can just read word for word. Our landscaper expects to receive the live stakes any day this week. Once he receives them, he has to get them in the ground right away. His plan is to go out and plant them. If you don't have any other specific instructions, we'll send pics once complete. Please confirm. And that went to me and Carrie Ricker. I'm going to ping Carrie tomorrow morning and see if she has any concerns about that or anything to add. And if not, then we let them do the landscaping in Manor Brook so it can have an opportunity to green up.
And this Carrie Ricker, she's been with us through the whole Manor thing.
She has, and I'm thankful to have her on our team.
She walked it in December, and she knows the vegetation. I don't know, you have.
She knows it much more than I would.
She's impressive.
You're not nervous?
All right, we're now, Parks Committee.
Parks.
Very rude.
Parks is rather brief. Last year, we reserved the Sundays in September early on so that we could have the fall festival there, and I'd like to do that. Can I, pardon?
I believe we've already done it.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it?
Mhm.
Okay, don't remember. All right, and we haven't met in a while. With everybody's work schedule, and Jerry, you'll be here that third week in April, I believe. I have two proposed dates, either April 23rd or 25th. So based on people's work schedules, it will be one of those. We can announce it at the next meeting.
I'll bring our Boy Scout Eagle project to that meeting.
That would be great. But we don't know the Brown schedule till way later, do we? Isn't that?
May.
Sometimes
Okay.
close by.
All right.
Questions of the Park Committee? Back to Park, Danielle, it's past my bedtime. Did we approve that how many burial plots did we do for the Wilcox? Did we do
We
this?
got that done, and we did the 8, and I don't,
Okay.
were they paid for?
All right, public utilities.
The 8 grave plots, the special.
Yeah, they were paid for, and then just so everybody knows too, we did get, all the, plaques for the park, for the benches and the trees from our new vendor, which Gino may now be using, is their vendor as well.
Which-
So and they were beautiful, and, they don't do aluminum, they did bronze. And, some of our ones we did on the trees before were aluminum, so now this company won't do them in aluminum, they do them in bronze. It was a very small upcharge, and they're beautiful, and they were very tiny.
And they probably last longer if they're bronze.
That's why they wouldn't do them in aluminum, because they're not
And-
as sturdy, so.
And you are in the business now, you have a side job?
Leslie is the one who found them, yeah.
Good.
So,
While we have a little break here, Chris, for the building committee meeting Thursday, Leslie and Ruth Griswold will both be absent a week in July. So we should talk this over. One of the things that Danielle and I just talked about briefly is maybe be open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to noon or something. Get the word out now.
And I think that's something to talk about in building committee, because Ruth and I talked about it later in the day, and she felt we could just leave it the full hours and between Dave and I would manage it, so she was gonna talk to the team.
Okay, Chris, you're back up. Public utilities.
Okay, public utilities. We will meet on April 5th at 9 a.m. is our next meeting. Just a brief comment. I want to thank council's support for the project that we looked at 2 weeks ago and that we did quickly. Unfortunately, in getting together with the grant writer, it was determined very quickly that we would not qualify for the grant. So,
Hey, I'm doing the best to keep those prices down.
okay, well, unfortunately, those were details that were not known, but have come to light. So that grant is no longer an option. So that project is on hold again. And we'll go back to the drawing board and try to figure out what makes sense. But all we can do is try, and we should try. And so we did our best. And other than that, that concludes the report.
Questions of the Public Utility Committee? Hearing none, we're at ordinance and resolutions. We are moving to money rounds. So finance, you want to?
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance to move the advance in the amount of $121,000 even from the permissive fund back to the income tax fund, declaring emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Bob.
Aye.
Gregory.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Leaky.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Lickey.
Okay, another one, Chris.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance transferring from the income tax fund $500,000 even to the safety fund and $100,000 even to the operating fund, declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Lickey.
Aye. Move to adopt.
Second.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Lickey.
Both ordinance passes. Before we get to the bills list, solicitor, pardon me. Danielle, off the top of your head, permissive tax fund, any guess as to how much we have in there now?
Now I don't know,
Okay,
so I could find out. But you remember permissive tax money can only be used for our 3 streets. So that would be Smiter, Daisy,
Daisy, Bell.
Bell.
Yeah.
okay.
And they're all pretty much, we could use some probably for Bell East if we need it when we do that, but
Okay,
Is that an Ohio revised code thing, through streets?
it's permissive tax money. We get money every month. State, like gasoline tax has to be divided between our street fund, and then you have to put some in your, the permissive tax money. It gets divided, it's set in Ohio revised code and what you
Okay.
can spend it on.
That's, I learn something new every day. Okay.
Mhm.
okay, bills list, I hadn't checked it over. Can you guys?
Yes. Motion to ratify the bills list of February 28, 2024 in the amount of $38,568.71. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're at new other.
Well,
Just thinking out loud here, would it be appropriate for the village to encourage, from a economic development standpoint, encourage people to utilize the businesses within our village confines while our neighboring village is under a major construction of a bridge for the next 2 years? Hey, South Russell doesn't have a bridge issue right now, kind of come utilize our wonderful restaurants and businesses, or is that inappropriate for government?
Chances are they'll probably find their way here.
Maybe a reminder of what's in South Russell today.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I talked to Danny at Augie's and I proposed to him, I said, what if we found somebody, a citizen, to say, okay, let's have a restaurant week in South Russell. I think half the people are going to say, geez, well, the Burntwood, no, the Burntwood in South Russell. No, that's one in Chagrin. What's the Burnt,
Yeah.
But there would be 7 restaurants. He said, good and bad over something like this.
Because they have to come up with a
Yeah,
strict
he's-
menu.
He's been involved with the Chamber of Commerce for a couple of years. He said, it's good. On the other hand, he said, my people know me. I don't really draw anything. So it is a thought that I've had that frankly, if we do have Molly Gebler, who used to run the chamber, who lives in the village. This is right down her alley, but I don't know that.
I have a question. How healthy are our restaurants?
Come on, Jerry.
I mean, I go past, they're packed all the time, but they're well received.
Okay, so people eat out a lot more than our parents did. That was a big deal when we went out to
Oh,
eat.
yeah.
People go every week, if not a couple times a week. So, come on, healthy guy. We eat. Bring it on.
I don't know, and maybe this, well, we could discuss Pony Boys, why they came in and why they came out. That's not for here. So let's go to new other.
is that all?
That's all, it was just fun.
Okay, Berger.
None.
Canton. Kavanaugh.
None.
Lickey.
2 items. First of all, I'd like to remind all employees and members of council and the mayor that the Harvest for Hunger campaign is currently going on. There's some receptacles outside in the passageway entering the council chambers. Going back to our elite status, we have a per capita income in the village exceeding $90,000, which is a pretty nice place to be. But remember that not all our neighbors are as fortunate. So I would
Right here,
ask,
baby.
I would encourage you all to contribute. And I just want to offer to parks and/or properties, whichever area this falls into, Please take a look at the lighting of the Masonic flagpole flag. I noticed that it's not lit at 6:40 before or daylight savings time. It's not lit at 11 o'clock. And although this was supposed to be a super wonderful solar project, the veterans of the community, I'm sure, would much rather have the flag that they served under properly displayed and respectfully displayed rather than a lunch or breakfast. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn at 8:40.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Todd, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.